We looking good. We about to get started here in a second. Hold on a second. The levels is good. The levels is good. The levels is whoa. Is it time to start? Yeah. What a boy. Let's see how things sound today.
Okay. Big man, you wanna hear some hot takes? Let's see how woke you are. You know something about podcasts? Yo, dígame. You kidding me or what, man? I got these 3 drunk uncles with a sports podcast. They say they got fire takes, pure fuego. You find them wherever you listen to podcasts at. If it's what they say it is, you like and you subscribe. Listen, like, and subscribe, yeah. You know how to call into the show? Yeah, man, do the Podbean app. You'll need headphones with a mic to call in. That's no problem, man. They'll also be at Sharky's, 8:07 p.m. on the first Wednesdays of the month. You may get some free Bluetooth. Keep receipts so. If anything happens in the sports world, MyT's gonna drop a tape faster than a rabbit gets fucked. There's only 3 things I have in this world. My word, my balls, and this podcast. And I don't break them for nobody. MyT Sports Season 7.
Evening and welcome back to another edition of the MyT Sports Podcast. I am your host, the one and only Untitled. As you guys know, it's another Fuego day in the hottest city in the world. It is officially March 15th. We're coming to you live and direct from Miami-ish. You know, guys know I'm heavy on the ish. This is Volume 7, Episode 87. Track 420 of the MyT Sports Podcast, and thank you guys for coming. Track 420. You know what's so crazy? Because you guys know that 420 is coming up right around the corner. And if you guys know that 420 is also happens to be my new year, which is on that Wednesday, which is about 2 shows from now, we'll be live and direct at Sharky's and come out, because not only will we have free orders of free samples of Bluetooth, we're also gonna have some party favors for you guys that are able to answer some of these trivia questions. We're gonna get things a little dicey. We're gonna move things up a little bit here on the MyT Sports Podcast. But boy, do we got a big show for you today. Tonight we got the final play-in games. I guess that's actually the perfect time for me to ever call it the play-ins, right? We have the final play-in games going on. We have a couple RIPs we gotta have to mention, right? We got a special anniversary that's going on. We got some injury updates. We got the this is the pre-New Year's show. We're gonna talk about some Bluetooth, give away a little promo so you guys can have a nice hard weekend pause. We're gonna talk about our time at Sharky's, that's coming up again. Also, as you guys know, we're gonna have the free Brittany going. We got like that's always something we're gonna talk about until she gets free. We're gonna talk about our coaching search, right? We're gonna dabble into that. This is something that we've been playing around with for the last couple of podcasts, and we got a couple of names in the woodworks. Again, we got to thank those Lakers out there. They're really making our jobs easy for us, right? We have all that and more going up on the MyT Sports Podcast. But you guys already know what we say here, right? Regardless of the time,
Take that.
and regardless of the weather,
You play to win the game. Hello?
it's always a good time to talk some sports. Stir this motherfucker. So let's start talking. Woo! Back at it like a sports fanatic. MyT Sports. Man, do we got a show for you guys today. Thank you everybody that's been joining us. Whether you're joining us on Facebook or Twitch or Twitter or Instagram. And you guys that are watching on Instagram or listening on Instagram, don't worry, we're gonna be going over to Twitter Spaces as well sometime through the show. So you're gonna lose that Instagram feed and we're gonna go over Spaces. Alright, so you can also catch us live on YouTube. You can catch us live on Podbean. Podbean is what we utilize what we use so that you can call into the podcast. So if you ever want to call in and join the podcast, just make sure you download the Podbean app. You find us in the go to the live section, find the Mighty Sports Podcast, and boom, you'll be able to come and join the show. But also while you're there and joining the show, you make sure that you listen, that you like, that you subscribe, right? Or that you share, and you subscribe. And you definitely want to make sure that you subscribe, because when you subscribe, then that means that you get a chance to hear that little notification every single time that we go on the air. You know what I mean? So you definitely want to go ahead and do that. You catch us on Twitch, you catch us on TikTok, yeah, we're everywhere that you want to pod at. And, you know what I mean? You can catch us there. Also, the easiest way to listen to the podcast, just tell your smart speaker to play the latest episode of the MyT Sports Podcast, and it will go ahead and pull it up for you. So whether you're listening on Google Podcasts, or you're listening on Spotify, or you're listening on TuneIn, or wherever you listen to your podcast there, you'll be able to catch the podcast there. So let's go ahead and get directly into it, right? Because if this is your guys' first time here, we like to start off every single podcast with a little birthday celebration. That's what we do, a little birthday party. So let's go ahead and open up that door to the club. You know what I mean? So we can get these birthday party up and out the way. Let's go. Yeah, you know what they say, when you hold your cup like this versus when you hold your cup like this. I ain't gonna lie. Part of the reason why you don't hold your cup like this because it gets all sweaty and shit. You know what I mean? It's the difference between liquor and juice. You niggas is stupid. I got some banging ass juice. Today I think it's that Dole orange pineapple. You know, I'm gonna start shouting out the juices I drink, yo. If there's any juice companies out there, let me know. Like, yo, I constantly stay drinking some juices, and if I can mix your juice with a little bit of ooh-wee, then trust me, I'm gonna do that shit. I'm gonna do that shit too. You know what I mean? Check it. Now, as you talk about the birthday party, right? We'll talk about what's distracting my eyes over here in the background in just a second, right? So let's get into the birthday party. People that don't know how this birthday song goes, let me go ahead and sing it one time for you, right? And then we're going to go ahead and sing it a second time for you, just so that you guys can join in, right? Because it ain't hard to understand. It ain't hard to get. It's not even a long song. This is my smoking song. It ain't very long. Guaranteed to get the job done. Roll one, smoke with your boy. So that's something completely different. But you guys, ooh, look at this. Cleveland playing. Cleveland is coming out to play. So check it. Yeah, check it. Yeah, because yeah, it's your birthday. We said it's your birthday. Check it. Yeah. Yeah, because it's your birthday, we sing happy birthday. Check it. Yeah, check it. Yeah. Alright, that was the one time for you people that ain't familiar with the song. So for everybody else, right, that's been familiar with the song, and now that you guys heard it, it ain't that hard to tell. You understand what these lyrics are. So now one time, officially, let's go ahead and get these birthday shout-outs, right? Because yeah, it's your birthday. We said it's your birthday. Check it, yeah. Check it, yeah. Because it's your birthday, we sing happy birthday. Check it, yeah. Check it, yeah. Alrighty, folks, here we go. Let's go ahead and start off with the birthdays yesterday. Basically, what we do is that we give a birthday shout out to everybody that had a birthday since the last time that we was last time on the air. Last time we was on here, the air was on Wednesday. So basically, we give a birthday shout out to everybody from Thursday and today, right? So that's April the 14th, and also April the 15th, right? Let's go ahead and get these birthday shout outs out of the way. First birthday shout out I would like to give is to my little cousin. It's to my little cousin Ricky, right? Like you guys see him better on Facebook as ATC Scrams Rick, or AT Battle Round Rick Scrams. Would definitely want to say happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you, little cuz, man. Hope everything is good, everything's living right. Yo, you know what's crazy? I haven't spoken to your big brother in forever, yo. Like, I don't even know where the fuck he's at these days, yo. But you guys be safe. Hope the whole family's okay. You know what I mean? Yo, like, continue to, like, love you guys. Continue to catch your blessings and continue to be righteous. You know what I mean? Also want to say happy birthday to Biggie. Right now, this ain't the same Biggie that you guys may have grown up with. Biggie happens to be the oldest daughter of my homeboy Johnny and Lorena, right? So this is their oldest daughter, Biggie. Her real name may be Nana, Nana. Right, I think Nana's like a nickname anyway. Like I'm over here like the nickname is Nana, but I think Nana is a nickname, and I like my nickname better, like only because it's my nickname. And if you guys know, like it's like the nickname is real simple. She's the oldest daughter, so she's the biggest one, Biggie. That's it. Like, don't think too much into this. The middle child is called Slugger because she played baseball. Biggie played baseball too, but Biggie was just the oldest. So Biggie didn't get the sports team, but Slugger did. It's like Slugger's like a cheerleader now. You know what I mean? It's okay though. I like calling her Slugger because I have to say that name around her boyfriend. It's like, hey, old Slugger, come here. You know what I mean? So that they know, like, hey, damn, why did he call you Slugger? Because she may pop you in the nose. But listen, women should not be hitting men. Like that's not the way to go. I just got out of an abusive relationship. Like, women should not be hitting men. We're talking about like I had to follow restraining order, press charges, all kinds of shit. Like Shorty was crazy. I was telling you guys here on the air every day I was living my life in fear. Like you guys thought I was just making that shit up. I was giving you guys subliminal messages. I learned some shit though. You can do this shit, right? If you're talking to somebody on video and that's the international sound like I'm getting my ass whooped. No, like I shouldn't laugh about that shit. But like seriously, like you guys can't see, like the whole back of this shit is missing because like Shorty's still like yanking that shit out, like constantly trying to scuffle with me, like for real. When I say crazy, I'm talking about bananas. But hold on, let me pause. This is the celebration time. I don't even know how I got sidetracked. Oh, I know how I got sidetracked. We was talking about Biggie's birthday, who's Johnny and Lorena's the oldest child, and I happened to be talking about the middle one named Slugger, and then I was like, yeah, that's how we got down this road. And then the little one, and the youngest child I call Little One. Like it really is that simple. But like some nicknames, right, are really that simple. Biggie, Slugger, Little One. That's it. Like that's how you get by. And the bad thing about it is like they all kind of know that I really don't know their names. Like I have to think super hard to know their names, but they all understand. Like Tio Chocolate, like he has fried his brain a little bit. You know what I mean? So his chalk is a little melted. You understand? So that's the birthdays for the 14th and 15th. What's going on, Ronnie? I see you popping up in the room. What's going on? I appreciate you always coming up and showing up for the podcast. And don't forget, if everybody else wants to show up for the podcast, on Wednesday you'll catch us directly live in that Sharpies. And on Wednesday is what I like to consider my New Year's, right? Everybody consider it 420s. Well, it happens to be, I like to take a little bit further and celebrate that as my New Year's, because now we're talking about we're deep into spring. And you know what? I'll explain why that day is my New Year on New Year's Day, right? And then we'll go from there. Let's not deviate too much from the birthday celebrations, because I feel like DJ MyT is over there getting kind of tired doing that little wrist motion all the time. Check it, check it. Right, we want to sing also happy birthday. Today is James Cooper's birthday, or Cooper as we used to call him. James Cooper happens to be a battle buddy of mine. I said, damn, where did we serve at? I feel like we served in. I feel like we served in Carolina together, briefly, and then you went to Germany. And by the time I got to Germany, you had just left. I feel like, and then when I got to Germany, you had just left, and then when I got to Carolina, you left shortly after that. I feel like I was always like a couple of I was always like basically like chasing you somewhere. Where I always used to hear about some dude named Coop, but I never actually met you. Which is really funny, depending when you're stationed in the military, because you'll see that happen. That'll happen a bunch of times where you may hear about somebody and you realize like you're just missing them, or you just miss getting to know them, or some kind of shit like that, and then that person happens to be like you, and that would have happened for you to like multiple duty stations. You'd be like, damn, and then one day you finally meet that person, like, oh shit, you're the infamous motherfucking Coop. You know what I mean? You know how many times that the motherfuckers, and then really motherfuckers be like, oh shit, you're the infamous motherfucking Tony, and you be like, oh damn, you don't even know me by the last name, you know me by the government middle. I'm like, oh shit. I mean, that's when you know your reputation precedes you very very well, right? So let's finish off the birthday celebrations, right? I want to say happy birthdays to my cousin Ricky, happy birthday to Biggie, happy birthdays to Coop, right? We want to wish you all a happy birthday. Hope you party hard, hope you enjoy everything. But more importantly, right? Oh yeah, most of it get your weekend at Bernie's on, right? Enjoy everything, party hard, enjoy everything, regret nothing. Right, but more importantly, we hope you continue to stay MyT. Get your weekend at Bernie's on. Let them shoulders go slump. Let them shoulder lean. Make your shoulder lean. Okay, nah, DJ MyT, you could have let it die right there. I don't even know why you ran the trap back. I know you're like, yo, you ain't stopped talking yet, but fuck that. Like you don't want to cut me off. Niggas back there wilding and shit. You know what I mean? Let's get into the first topic of the day, right? Let's get into the first topic of the day.
First things first.
Right? Today happens to be the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson making his appearance from the Negro League into Major League Baseball and breaking what is the color barrier for baseball. And it's funny, right? And I have to get this little joke out the way before I go any deeper. Because when I first heard it was the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson breaking his color barrier, I first thought like, God damn. Like there's a lot of 75th anniversaries happening this year. I feel like everywhere I go, I'm hearing 75th. You know what I mean? All the goddamn time. And I realized it wasn't a lot of places having a 75th anniversary. It just happened to be one entity that I watch consistently having a 75th anniversary, and that happened to be the NBA. So the NBA had the 75th anniversary. Then they dropped their 75 top players or players of all time, and then now we get the 75th anniversary of Jackie. Yeah, of Jackie Robinson. All right, yeah. Right, and then that's when I realized, oh, okay, this is where the 75th. But I'm telling you, initially my brain was just like, damn, how many 75th anniversaries we gonna have in 1 year? Like, how many shit was started 75 years ago? Like, but that's why it's not even a lot. It's just I'm engulfed in the NBA. You guys know it's the #1 sport that I watch, and I probably watch more NBA games than I watch any other sport and event that's out there. And this being its 75th anniversary, you know what I mean? It's been consistently just beat into my head where I feel like I'm hearing it like basically every other day. So now let's carry on. Let's move into what's the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier in Major League Baseball, right? And what he's responsible for is also helping integrate baseball and into what we see today, which isn't a baseball field with a lot of African Americans, but it's a baseball field with a lot of brown people, right? It just isn't specifically African American, which who gives a fuck? Like, let me be honest with you in a weird way. Like, there's a bunch of brown people in that motherfucker. Like, we can't have every sport. Like, we had it for a while. We did our thing for a while, and now, you know what I mean? We realized that you pay too slow. I'll rather crash into this other person, or I'll rather play basketball. Or if you motherfuckers decide to give soccer its proper due, guess what? All you motherfuckers that don't want to play baseball and you're still trying to get in, just start being soccer players. Start taking your 5-star talent over to the soccer field. Like, I'm pretty sure you got some feet working there somewhere. But he also helped integrate baseball. And with him being the first one into baseball, he also was the one that had to deal with the most. And we're talking about 75 years ago now, so we're talking about basically in the 40s and 50s, right? Is when he's coming up, right? Just basically in the 50s, I think it is, if I'm correct, right? We're talking about him coming through in the 50s, and we're talking about the times that the country was at back then in its racial times. We're talking about he's basically being the first black person to play in Major League Baseball, and him having to endure all of the ignorance of the country at the time, right? Of every white person that felt empowered and entitled, and him getting death threats sent to the stadium, him getting death threats sent to his home, him and not just like that to the home. You understand that? Is basically, it's just stress upon stress upon stress. Like, you have stress at work, you come home, you can't rest, you have no peace. He was just basically he was the first African American baseball player to go through all of those hard times, and he's also, by doing that, he's also an individual that end up inspiring millions. Very recently, we seen his a documentary come out about him called 42, right? And 42, I think it is. 45, 42. Shit. I don't know why the number just left my head, right? But I think it was 42, right? But you seen a documentary recently come out about his life and about his integration into baseball, and what that did, it helped shine a little bit of light and put back into recent memory, of just not too long ago. Like I said, 75 years. We all have I think most of us have elders that are 75 years old and 75 years old. So they've either went through and witnessed it, or they witnessed specifically what Jackie Robinson did. If you have elders that are 65 years old, they even know the significance of what Jackie Robinson did, because a lot of them may have been raised with his sacrifices, right, used as examples of how young African Americans should probably grow up to be leaders or carry themselves, right? Because he did have to carry himself through some trying times, right? You see in these times that they definitely know sometimes the perfect person that they should utilize in these moments, and Jackie Robinson probably was the perfect person. He had the perfect temperament for it. Like, there were times where he could have backlashed and outlashed, right? Either at the crowd or other players, even possibly other teammates. And he sat back and he pulled the MLK route, and he was out his nonviolence, my brother, nonviolence. Well, who knows? There's a lot of individuals that would have went X route and would have been like, yo, by any means necessary, you gonna give me my respect. But like I said, he inspired. I think I have it as 45. Well, like I said, he inspired millions, and not just individuals in his era, but also with eras to come. And you know what's funny, as I'm saying this, right, and I'm talking about him being harassed and being threatened by the fans, and having those individuals not only threaten him on the field, but also send information, like send letters to his house and shit. And I'm realizing that we have athletes today that can't take getting booed. You understand? I guess being booed today is like having racial death threats sent to you. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Having death threats sent to your house is the same thing as being tweeted at these days. I don't know. But I find it a little bit funny now as I'm saying this, and I'm realizing that, yo, there are athletes, and it's athletes in New York City too, right? I feel like it's happened with all the New York teams in basketball, baseball, and in football, where when they're not performing, they're just not performing when they get booed, that they're like, oh, a middle finger to you or thumbs down to you, where you had a guy in Jackie Robinson who was being threatened and being called racial slurs, and they were openly throwing the N-word out on him, and he was just basically like, oh, he basically just had to take it at that time. Now I was also understanding that him also being the first person, he was not playing from a position of power either, right? It took those 75 years and the passing of time and the evolution of man that now players can now respond, like basically like that. Jackie Robinson, in a weird way, made it okay, or paved the way for you guys to be able to get upset at fans booing you and being able to give them the middle finger, or give them a thumbs down, or say that I hate this fucking place. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, he allowed you guys to say that by enduring what he did, because now, years later, you know what? You're now in a position of power, the first time that you get paid, and you can now react that way. He wasn't in a position of power to react that way. If he would have acted the way that you guys act now, just from being booed, we would have probably talked about the first. We would have talked about the first African American in Major League Baseball being lynched. And he was threatened with it. But that's what makes him such the great man that he is, right? And it's funny that today, of all these, like I haven't watched one baseball game so far, outside of being actually at baseball games and it being in the background. I think that's the most I've really watched of baseball games. And I haven't even watched any baseball games today. But if you're watching baseball today, you're gonna see his number being worn by all of the players around the league today. And this is one of those things that, like I said, you get to learn something every time. You get to learn a little bit more about players and movements and why things come to pass a little bit more as time passes. And once again, these are sometimes you like I can't remember if I knew this and I did it and I forgot it, or if I just didn't know it at all, because there's there's so many things that you know that you'd be like, damn, I didn't know that. How was that surprising? How did I not know that? But there's parts of it that you obviously do remember, right? And one of the things that came out of this, and one of the reasons, right, and one of the inspirations for Major League Baseball, all of them wearing Jackie Robinson's number today, is because of one Ken Griffey Jr. Because one Ken Griffey Jr. who was a great African American player in his own right, and so was his dad was a good one too, right? It was that he wanted to honor Jackie Robinson in some way, shape, or form, right? And so he went to the commissioner's office and he spoke to them. And he was like, "Hey, can I on this day can I go ahead and switch it over and wear the number 45 or whatever?" And hold on, you know what? Only because I know what I've written down, but for some reason my brain keeps telling me two different things. So I have to verify this before I say this anymore. 42. Okay, it is 42. There we go. Thank you. Shit. Because I know I keep saying, like, I'm toggling in my head between 45 and 42, and I don't know why 45 even got in there. I want to change the fucking title of the goddamn podcast. I don't know. Somewhere I fucked that up. Alright, so he went there and he wanted to be able to wear 42. And when he went to the commissioner's office about wearing 42, commissioner's office, the commissioner basically at the time was like, "Hey yo, like, we have no, like, actually, after deliberation and thinking about it, whatever, and talking to their team and their PR team and all this other shit, it was like, hey, you can wear it, like you got no problem, but would it be okay if everybody wore it, right?" And he was like, "Nah, like, the more the merrier, because like I can wear it and it may only be seen by a few people, or maybe there's people in this region, but if every single baseball player is wearing it, you can't ignore it. And it's going to cause every single individual, whether they are familiar with them or not, like it's going to take, like, anybody that's not familiar with it, it's going to force them, especially a bunch of little kids, hey, why are they wearing number 42? And it forces you to tell that story of Jackie Robinson being the first African American to play in Major League Baseball, and talk about all the trials and tribulations and all of the venom that he received from white America back then, and how he had to pull through that because they refused to recognize him as a human being initially. So let me go ahead and give you guys a little quick update, right? Is that I got the game on in the background. We have Atlanta versus Cleveland. Cleveland, for the most part, they've been leading this game. As we're seeing right now, it's a 2-point game. They've had I think about a 15-point lead as far as I can see. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I need to say this before this game ends. There's not much. I'm not gonna say. I don't like. There's a few players I won't say much. I won't say a lot of nice things about. This next player is one of them, right? But I have to give him his props here, where I don't know. Yeah, I'm just forgive me here. The postseason is definitely Trae Young's stage. It really is. It is a place where he really enjoys performing at. And maybe he just likes the stage of big moments, period. But when the lights are his brightest or gets bright, Trae Young shines a little bit more. It's just something about it. That's all I gotta say. But as I say that, I just want to let you guys know that there's a little voice inside my head, and that little voice inside my head goes,
"Yo, you thought Trae Young was still good, right? Fuck Trae Young! Fuck Trae Young! Fuck Trae Young! Fuck Trae Young!"
Right, so that's still there. I don't want you guys to get it twisted. Right, and since we're talking about things that we don't want to get twisted, let's. Oh no, it's not that segment yet. Not that segment yet. But Jackie Robinson just didn't. Like I said, just didn't affect other baseball players and other people on the field. He affected regular people. He also affected other artists, whether they were coming up in his times or after his time. Right, I was time growing up. Like one legendary activist and artist, Chuck D. He was heavily influenced by Jackie Robinson as well, right? And not only was he influenced enough to put him in his music, right? But also he grew up with the influence of Jackie Robinson being utilized all the time in his household. But also not just that, but also the way that Jackie Robinson was also not moving into an all-white neighborhood and also integrated neighborhoods. That is also something that made itself. Like I said, he was in the Connecticut area when Jackie Robinson was doing this, right? It made itself all the way down to the New York area, and it also helped started change up other African Americans' mind frame about about his courage moving into neighborhoods, and made them start fantasizing and start realizing, we can start moving into some of these better neighborhoods as well. We can endure like Jackie. Like I said, why there was an era, like I said, in the 90s was trying to be like Mike, there was an era in the 60s and 70s that was trying to be like Jackie Robinson. So as we give our biggest honor, our big up to Jackie Robinson, and this being the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier in Major League Baseball. Now let's also talk about something else that needs to be broken, or maybe just something that needs to be broken out, maybe to say, and that is one. I think you guys know what I'm about to say here. That is one, Brittany Griner. Yes, folks, Brittany Griner is still incarcerated in Russia. And as you guys know, we want to say to her, hope you're safe, girl. I hope they're treating you right. Even though I'm pretty sure that they're not. They're just probably treating you as best as they can, just so that we don't come over there and invade their asses, right? But I'm telling you, we want to say we want to say free Brittany Griner. If you guys don't know, Brittany Griner is a WNBA player. She's an NBA champion. She is an 8-time block leader. She is three or more time first all-time all-star, second team all team as well, third team. Like she's with first team all defensive player of the year, college champion. Like when you talk about it, she has done it. First team all rookie, except she didn't win rookie of the year. Like Brittany Griner has done it all. Brittany Griner is as decorated as an NBA player can get, and she is currently being detained in Russia on trumped up weed charges. That sound familiar? Damn. I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh about this now. It's the first time I said it like that. And it made me realize that what she is being charged for is something that the American justice system has been doing for decades. But basically, they are detaining Brittany Griner for trumped up weed charges. So that's really what the fuck it is. And like I said, we always find a way to mention it here on the podcast. because we don't mention here on the podcast, we want to know where it's going to be mentioned every single day. As you could tell, that there's not a lot of outlets out there that are talking about her being detained every day, but we want to make sure that we go ahead and give her the proper respect that she deserves. Because if this was one of your beloved Aaron Rodgers or Kyrie Irving's or Kevin Durant's or any one of your multi-time all-stars, scoring leaders, defensive leaders, and champions, this would have been something that would have been mentioned every single day on your news outlets, sports news outlets, that is. So we want to make sure that we give her proper respect here. We mentioned that Brittany Griner needs to be free, and that we need to be seeing her playing basketball again as the WNBA season is right around the corner, folks. They just had their draft, right? Like that just passed. So that's the season is coming up in a couple of weeks. I think we're less than 3 weeks away from the beginning of the season. I think we haven't even less time than that before we have the start of the before we have the NFL draft. So those are like the next two big events that are coming up in the next two of the next big events that are coming up in the next 30 days. Also, we have the start of the NBA playoffs. We have the start of the NHL playoffs. We have all of that coming up in the next 30 days. It's gonna be a nice little busy season as we come to the end, as we come to the end of this this volume of the podcast. Yes, as you guys know, we do take breaks here on the podcast. As volume 7 of the podcast is about to end pretty soon, right? And we're probably gonna end this. When does this end? Right around the 4th of July. So we're about 3 months away from ending the podcast. And we come back up with volume 8 right around, when is it? We come up with volume 8 right around the beginning of the NFL season, like right around the last week of the preseason. We'll have the official dates coming. Like I said, we're still talking about a long time away. I just realized exactly how far away it is. It just feels like it's really soon because we're talking about the NBA playoffs. We forget how long the NBA playoffs actually run into, and then we talk about. And as you guys know, we're not going to end the podcast until after the NBA draft takes place anyway. Like the NBA draft is usually like one of the last episodes that we do. But man, look at Trae Young. Like I said, he's just over here pulling up. Looks like crossover, getting into the lane, floater. On my back, it's chilly. First half, he had 6 points, going 3 for 11. Second half, 18 points, 5 for 7, 3 for 5 on a 3-point shooter, 5 assists. So right now, we're talking about 24 points with 9 assists right now. I told you, like, this is just one of those things. Like he actually likes this stage, and Atlanta is now up by 2. Like he really does like this stage, and I hate to say it. I said this the other day. All right, I don't know how Chill Will feels about Trae Young, but a small part of me wants Chill Will to hate Trae Young as much as I do, and there's only one way for that really to happen.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Yo, you thought Trae Young was still good, bro?
Fuck Trae Young! Fuck Trae Young! Fuck Trae Young! Fuck Trae Young!
And before we go any further into the first series of elimination games, right? But and I know we're done talking about freeing Brittany Griner. She was the 8-time block leader, folks. 8-time block leader for the NBA. Like I ain't gonna lie, a part of me, like I'm training my brain to stop saying WNBA, because you'll know which version of the NBA they're in by the pronouns that I use and by the names that I use. When I say Brittany Griner, that she's been an 8-time block leader in the NBA, you automatically know I'm talking about the WNBA. I'm using pronouns that describe women. Like, so, just so that you guys know, like me saying the NBA, when I'm describing them, is by no accident at all. It's the way that I'm retraining my brain to describe the league that they play in, but also trying to also very slowly, because you guys know how I feel about women's rights and everything like that, right? And women equality, and also if I train my brain, that's the way I start talking. That means when people listen to this podcast, they also maybe, you know what I mean, even when they know they're talking to me or when they do, they'll start changing the way that they talk about it. Like, oh, WNBA, yeah, she's that and she's this and she's that, and you be like, whoa, this that, yeah, WNBA, but still, it's the WNBA for women. Like, listen, I don't have to be like WNBA this and this. She's the WNBA that. No, she's the NBA. She's the NBA this, NBA that. She's the NBA this. She's the NBA that. And you know what we're talking about. Until we start seeing women players in the NBA, then you know what I mean, or in the male version in the MNBA, then I'll start differentiating a little bit more. When we start seeing men players in the WNBA, then I'll start differentiating more. But neither one of them is crossing over, not in the MNBA and not in the WNBA. So we're all just in the NBA. It's like the baseball league and the Negro baseball league. Like, why we need to differentiate? Let's just go ahead and combine the two. We're not really combining the two. You know what I'm trying to say? Just verbiage. Mentally. As you know, what's funny, right? Because it just popped in my head. As we're seeing a lot of men reclassify themselves, like we see how students coming up in sports reclassify themselves from being 5th graders to 3rd graders just to get an athletic advantage, right? Right? As we're seeing men starting to reclassify themselves and participate in, as women, right? And participate in women's sports. I'm now trying to think, right? Which NBA player is so garbage and so basura that we don't want him anywhere, like nobody wants him on their team, right? Or maybe he's just a really good mediocre guy in the NBA. Which guy, if he went to the WNBA, would end up being LeBron James' son? He'll be the best player in the game. Is that guy Rat Beverly? Like, will Patrick Beverly constitute as one of those guys? That a guy that averages 4.5 points in the NBA, but he's just really good on his energy and stuff like that. That if he went to the WNBA, he'll be probably the best WNBA player. Is he one of those guys? Isaiah Thomas. What about Isaiah Thomas? I don't know. See, I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of people with a whole lot less clout and a lot less note. God damn. This was just a 2-point game. How was Cleveland already down by 7? What are they reviewing? There was nothing around the neck. He wrapped them up. Yeah, there's nothing to review there. This game is now 88-95. Atlanta with 5.5 minutes to go. 89-95. Cleveland trying to push it up to 90 so they can get that lead down to 5 from 7. And since we're talking about other stuff, make sure you guys put your money on the Memphis Grizzlies making it to the Western Conference Championship. I'm just saying. I don't know what the odds are, but look at them, and if they're decent, if they're like decent, go ahead and make sure you put your money on it. I have a firm belief in it. I'm getting one of those feelings. I have a feeling. Ooh, ooh. You know what I mean? So as we're coming on to the end of this game, right, which is the last of the play-in games. Let's talk about the first two teams that got eliminated. And folks, if you've known me, how we always come down to the NBA playoffs, right? When it comes down to elimination time, there's a nice little segment that has been brewing ever since James Harden has been in Houston, right? He is actually the godfather of this segment. He birthed it, in a weird ass way. All right, like he was the inspiration, he was the muse for this segment, and what this segment is called is "You Have Failed This City."
But they are who we thought they were.
Loser! You're a loser! Are you feeling sorry for yourself? Well, you should be, because you are dirt! You make me sick, you big baby! Baby, want a bottle? A big dirt bottle?
Failed this city! You have failed this city! You have failed this city!
You could have just said he was nuts.
You have failed this city!
Folks, in this segment, it's basically come up for anybody it's basically when your team gets eliminated from the playoffs. You know what happens. Everybody is let down. All the fans are. More importantly, the people of the city has been let down because
You have failed this city.
I don't know if I should call this the Green Arrow segment, the Archer segment, the James Harden segment, the James Harden Chris Paul segment, but it was definitely inspired by Chris Paul and James Harden. Like, I forgot about Chris Paul. Chris Paul was a part of this too. Like, James Harden had already been here, but I think it was I'm trying to remember. This segment may have started it was before Chris Paul got there. I'm trying to think when I officially made the sounder for it though, because I remember saying to myself that damn, you combined one Mr. Fielder City with two Mr. Fielder City, and you get Mr. Fielder City Square. Like this is not the time where two negatives make a positive. Like, you literally got one guy that kept on failing in the clutch moments when he had the advantage, with another guy that was infamous for failing the clutch moment. And what you thought was gonna happen? They failed in the clutch moment when they had an advantage. Chris Paul, he had some kind of injury. You know what I mean? Something that pulled him away from his team that really needed him. It's a good thing that this Phoenix team doesn't really show that they need him that much anymore. It's like thank you, Sensei. We have learned from you. It's like they're the fucking 4 Ninja Turtles and he's Master Splinter. It's like, yeah, when you come out and you fight beside us, we're fucking, like, we're super formidable and we're damn near unbeatable. But when the 4 of us are on the court together by us, without you, we can make some rugs burn. I can make your bed rock. That's what was popping in my head when I said rugs burn. I'm sorry. Ooh. But let's talk about the first team that got eliminated, folks, from continuing in the postseason or actually making it into the playoffs, and that was the Charlotte Hornets. As they got the brakes beat off of them by the team that we're watching right now, which is the Atlanta Hawks, and the Atlanta Hawks, like, they took it to them. If I remember, they played the second game. The first game was the Brooklyn and Cleveland game, and the Brooklyn and Cleveland game was actually a really great game. It was actually a really fucking good game. We're talking about Kyrie Irving basically going not missing a shot all the way into the fourth quarter or the third quarter, something like that. You know what I mean? Like, him completely going off. Both him and Kevin Durant having double-digit assists. You know what I mean? This it was only like about a 6-point game, so like that first game was a really good game to watch. And in the second game we saw Atlanta blow the fuck out of Charlotte, make Michael Jordan go home early, right? You know that little scene when Michael Jordan leaves and he goes into the Sorry, I was watching something. It was episode of Naruto. Right, but like you know when that happens, right? When I forgot what the hell I was just saying. Yeah, that little scene where Michael Jordan is leaving his little suite and he's going home so he can get home early, whatever. But that's definitely That is definitely what they end up doing, and it looks like they're about to do it again to Cleveland. Like I don't like Atlanta, but I am starting to realize that Trae Young has a thing for these moments, right? Like that's the best way I can say it. That's the best compliment I can give him, because I really don't like Trae Young from what he did to my Knicks, but I'm realizing that it's the stages. Like I don't know how he looks when he plays other regular teams, but I know when he plays the Knicks and he's playing in the Garden, or when he's playing in Brooklyn, or when he's playing in New York, that motherfucker shows the fuck out. When he's playing against LeBron and the Lakers, he shows the fuck out. He's one of those guys that he likes the moments, and also you can see that steel sharpened steel shit. Like he's one of those people that like he takes his matchups personally. Like I wanna, like if there's another guard on the side, right, and that's supposed to be good, that I am matching that guard. Like, I want to whoop that guard's ass. Like he takes his matchups personally. And believe it or not, that's actually a good trait to have if you have a player. Like, that's how I feel that John Morant is. And believe it or not, if I'm not mistaken, I think John Morant is smaller than Trae Young. Now, who knows where he's gotten to now, but in coming into the league or whatever, like, he is, like, talking about what they were or what they have him listed as, like, he is smaller than Trae Young. I remember being surprised by it more than anything else. Like I said, I always tell you guys about things that surprise me. I know it's probably not the first time you've heard me mention this, because I was looking to make the case against Trae Young and how small he is. And when looking it up, I ended up realizing that, he's bigger than John Morant, and he was also bigger than somebody else I was surprised about. So when I looked at it, I ended up seeing it, and I was like, damn, you know what? I'm just realizing that guards are just like every position in the NBA. Guys are coming in lighter and lighter and lighter and small and kind of smaller at these positions, right? Like, you're still, like, you catch a lot of guards being 6'1", 6'3", 185, 170, 175. Like, you understand? I know normal people at 5'6" that are outweighing them. Like, and I mean that as coming from military standards. Like, they're not, like, they would be too light for me. Actually, Ronnie, look that one up for me if you have it up easily. What would somebody 6'1", what would they have to weigh to be in the military? Like, what would be their standards? Well, like, right? Because I feel like they'll be pushing a little too light. But let me stop making fun of them, right? But yeah, so Charlotte is the first team to basically get eliminated, and they're the first ones to.
You have failed this city.
They made their owner cry and have to take his tail. That's the reason why he's over here talking about the ceiling is the roof. But LaMelo Ball, listen, this is still early, right? And LaMelo Ball is a baller, and he'll get better. I'm curious, right? And only because I'm a Knicks fan, right? As a Knicks fan, I can never put any realm of possibility out there, especially when one of them realms of possibility can possibly benefit my team. I consistently wonder now, as the times keep changing with the NBA, who's going to be the first player to pull a Chris Webber, in a sense, right? Or to do why we have this common version of the rookie scale and stuff like this now. Who is going to not extend their first initial rookie contract and go to another team? Who's going to be the guy that does that? The guy that matters that does that? Right? Like, people talk about Zion, but could LaMelo Ball possibly be that guy? Right? You know how defiant he is? And if it's not this crop of guys that is going that does it, because it's now in the air, and I feel like we're getting closer and closer to somebody taking that risk and saying, or somebody taking that jump and saying, yo, I'm not happy with this team, and I'm not gonna allow you to have control over me for another 3 years. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna go ahead and bounce. Because I also don't want to play that game of me not playing, me playing, me sitting, me standing, me this. You know what I mean? I don't want to play that game with you. I just don't want to be here. Like, who's gonna be that one star, that one young star that doesn't take that first initial rookie extension, that max rookie extension, that same one that I think that RJ Barrett qualifies for, and I think it's like $180 million extension over. Is it over 5 years? 4 years? Is it that much? It can't be. I'm gonna have to look it up. It could be 121/3. Who knows? Or that could be what's his name got. Derek Carr was 3/121. I got all these damn numbers stuck in my head. Alright, but Charlotte was the first team to get eliminated. And really, like I said, you can't be upset, but they got blown the fuck out. Like I said, after having a really good game with Brooklyn and Cleveland, right? Evan Mobley currently right now have 17 points, 4 for 5 for the line, back of the line again. His team is only down by 2 right now as he goes to take this foul shot. He makes that. His team is down by 1 with 120 seconds left to go. 125 seconds left to go in the game, folks. Basically 80 seconds left to go in the game. Trae Young has the ball. He's probing. He's pushing his man to a direction. He gets his boy over in the corner, Hubert. He gets double teamed. He gets into the lane. He puts his little floater, and the floater is good. The next team, the other team to fail their city, or the other team to get eliminated, and
You have failed this city.
were the San Antonio Spurs. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it's still kind of weird, right? And it still feels funny it's weird to talk about a Greg Popovich team that isn't actually in the playoffs, but you know what? They're in the postseason. They're in postseason contention, right? Yes, if you can't make the playoffs in this day and age, making the postseason period, making the play-ins is the next step. But it's just the way that they lost to New Orleans, and like I said, when we was watching, both of those games were going on when we last had the podcast on Wednesday, and I was telling you guys, yo, did he just steal? Yo. Yes, I just saw that. Cleveland had the ball. Or Atlanta had the ball, right? Getting ready to make a score. Atlanta had the ball, getting ready to make a scoring play, right? Or trying to make a scoring play, a word on the shot clock. Cleveland stole the ball, and they're getting ready to bring the ball back up the court, going the other way on a fast break. On the first outlet pass, Hubert comes out of nowhere. I think his name is Hubert, right? Or Hubbard. And he steals the ball back for them. Trae Young, 30 points in the second half. At the line. 31 points in the second half. 5-point game. 23.8 seconds left to go. Looks like Chill Will may be hating Trae Young as much as I am. So
Cleveland! This is for you!
Yo, you thought Ray Young was still good, right?
Fuck Trae Young! Fuck Trae Young! Fuck Trae Young! Fuck Trae Young!
yeah, so the Spurs. It's always weird seeing the Spurs get eliminated, right? They lost that game 113-103, and right, ironically, both teams that lost only scored 103 points. San Antonio, or not even San Antonio. I wonder I wonder about how much longer do we have of seeing Greg Popovich, right? Because it looks like, or it feels like, Greg Popovich may be squeezing all he can out of the, you know what I mean, out of the juice. Like he squeeze, like whatever bit of juice he can get out of that rock. It seems like he's getting all of it. But also, if he's able to get a team like this, right, into the play-in, right, or the postseason play, who's to say what happens the moment that he gets a decent player again? You know what I mean? And granted, he's probably not going to get that being in postseason contention the way that he is. But what happens again when he finds the guy that's Tim Duncan again, or that has that quality? What happens if he finds a guy that's just Jimmy Butler? Like, you tell me what happens then, because Are you telling me that when he's bringing nobodies around, and I don't want to not say nobody, but individuals that are not household names, that we're not familiar with, guys that aren't just rocking and killing the NBA, and we can clearly see like, oh yeah, this person is definitely one of the next individual, like one of the next superstars, one of the next individuals in the NBA. Like he hasn't had one of those guys, or one of those guys hasn't even come through in development. So who's to say that once he finds that guy, that we're not talking about him being here all over again? Or, you know what? Let's make it simpler, right? Who's to say if he didn't have Anthony Edwards, that he'll be further along in his current process with his team right now? So when I say when he find that guy, and like I said, Anthony Edwards, like I said, he happened to be a top 3 pick, right? So he was already identified. We don't think San Antonio's going to get that kind of pick, but who's to say that once Greg Popovich gets that guy, that they're not going further along than some of these other individuals, or you know what I mean, that are drafted high, or drafted with potential hopes, or hopes of potential. And if and when he finds that guy, does he still have the time, patience, and energy to make that guy blossom, or make that individual all that they can be? Really, like I said, more than anything else, right? More than anything else, I'm just kind of wondering, how much time do we have of Greg Popovich, right? As we see his team being eliminated again, and we heard one of the reporters ask him that question, like, hey, you plan on retiring or not? He's like, yeah, that's an inappropriate question. But I'm wondering how much of Greg Popovich do we have? Because also, Greg Popovich is also that far along in his career and in his life that if we heard that he was retiring, we wouldn't be surprised. It's basically would have been like, you know what? You've done enough. We feel like you've had a fulfilling coaching career. More than fulfilling coaching career. You've had a monumental coaching career. Right? You've had a coaching career that has influenced other coaches. You have a coaching tree that is to be respected, and you've also influenced tons of other players, and you're respected by tons of players, Hall of Fame players. So you wouldn't be surprised if Popovich retired. So, but the reason why we're not surprised is because he's coming to that time. Like, shit, nigga. Like, how many years you got? Right, and speaking of not knowing how many more years you got, you don't have to worry about how much more time you have when you have a little bit of Blue Chew in your life. What is Blue Chew? Let me pull that out for you. I knew I had it with me. Blue Chew just happens to be a little blue pill, folks, that gives you back your thrill. All you have to do is open up a pack and head straight to the sack. Just a few chews before you do. Right, this little blue pill has the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so this is one opportunity that you just can't miss. For a very low cost, you can beat it up like a boss, and she will love how you come through like a champ when you Blue Chew in advance. And if you use this week's promo code of LPLJ, that's Lima Papa Lima Juliet. I'll say that again, LPLJ, Lima Papa Lima Juliet. You know, I'm gonna start making this in sports teams, right? Like Lakers, Pelicans, Lakers, Jets, or Jazz, right? you be able to get yourself your first order, your very first order, you'll be able to get for free with the MyT Sports promo code of the week. LPLJ, folks. Blue Chew. Only thing you got to pay for is your shipping and handling. Basically, that's taking care of your postal workers. Really, when it comes to Blue Chew, there's only two instructions. You chew it, and then you do it. Blue Chew. That's all there is to it. Ain't nothing more. I was just talking about being eliminated and nothing more, right? We got a couple of RIPs we have to give out, right? First RIP goes out to one Gilbert Godfrey. Gilbert Godfrey is that guy with the annoying voice that kind of talks like this, and that's all I really know about him. No, that was probably a horrible impression, horrible impression. But yeah, that's Gilbert Godfrey. A lot of individuals, you may know him as the parrot from The Little Mermaid. I'm sorry, the parrot from, not The Little Mermaid, Aladdin. There you go. You may know him as the parrot from Aladdin. Formerly, you may know him as the duck from Aflac. And then he said some, what the fuck did he say? Did he say some racist shit? Or some sexist shit? And he got canceled from being the Aflac duck? It was one of them things. Alright, but he ended up passing. And now officially that's two members from Aladdin that have passed. That's the genie and the goddamn parrot. But also passing is one Mike Bozzi, right? Bozzi. I'm pardon me if I am. If I butcher that last name a little bit, but he is a Hall of Fame NHL player. He died at the age of 65, right? He died. When he left the NHL career, he ended up with 573 total goals, which ended up being 22nd of all time. He has 553 assists. He was the fastest player to 100 goals. He had 8 straight seasons, which was his first 8 seasons, where he scored 50 or more goals. If I'm not mistaken, in his second season, right? After he scored 50 goals in his first season, he came out in his second season and said, "I'm not just going to score 50 goals in this season again too. I'm going to score 50 goals in 50 games." And that's exactly what he did. Like I said, he was the fastest person to ever score 100 goals. Right? So he also passed recently. So RIP to one Gilbert Godfrey and to one Mike Bozzi. And folks, as we talk about those that are no longer with us, folks, the Atlanta Hawks have officially eliminated the Cleveland Cavaliers from any further postseason play. Cleveland Cavaliers.
You have failed this city.
But more importantly, let's just give you the hard one.
But they are who we thought they were.
Loser! You're a loser! Are you feeling sorry for yourself? Well, you should be, because you are dirt! You make me sick, you big baby! Baby want a bottle? A big dirt bottle?
Failed this city! You have failed this city! You have failed this city!
You could have just said he was nuts.
You have failed this city!
Cleveland Cavaliers, you have failed your city. But you guys already know, more than anything else, in a weird way, even though the Cleveland Cavaliers started off there for the most part of the season as a lot higher seed, and it didn't look like that they should be missing postseason contention, right? Or they would be even in the play-in tournament. a couple of injuries to a couple of key members. One, Jared Allen, who ended up playing in this game, who ended up missing a bunch of games with a broken finger. Right, due to their injuries, kind of like the Brooklyn Nets, they end up falling deeply in position, and both teams found themselves in the play-in tournament versus just being in the playoffs regularly. And Cleveland came out and they fought early. Like I said, they had a lead early. But it will be the 3-point shooting of Atlanta as always. That would get it done. And Cleveland was making their 3-pointers early as well too. But it just wasn't to be sustained, it looks like. Now, it's like I said, it's just like I said, initially you just probably didn't see Cleveland fall all the way down where they did, and that's probably the only portion of this season that probably makes it seem disappointing. But if you honestly think about where Cleveland has been the last couple of years, right, and now to find their rookie, right, a guy that is going to be their rookie of the year who also fell into Clint Capella and hyperextended his knee. Don't know if Clint Capella ended up coming back in this game. I think I forgot about that. I forgot to see if Clint came back. But that happened in the second half. In the second quarter. But the third quarter ended up being the Trae Young show. Now, like I said, for Cleveland fans, like I said, I know you may be a little disappointed that you didn't win this game. But I don't feel like you should look at this season as if it was a disappointment all in all. Like I said, this basically looks like the next natural step into your progression. Like I said, you have the rookie of the year, and you should be happy that your rookie of the year got you into playoff contention. Like I said, got you into postseason play. Without the play-in tournament, you wouldn't even be in position. Actually, you would be. I'm lying. You'd have made the playoffs. That stings a little. Damn, that stings a little. Shit. Okay. But still, it's not. The season isn't a fully disappointing season. You have a ridiculously young team, and you guys have been getting better and better over the last couple of seasons. Now you find yourself with another one of your identified leaders, especially down low. You get yourself a unicorn in a center in Mobley, right? In Katino Mobley Jr. His real name is Evan Mobley, right? And now you can find something to truly build upon, because next year, you're going to know what's needed to be better and to maintain your position in the regular season, right? And how important it's going to be to try to get one of those 6 spots. But also, after playing Trae Young, a team that was just in the Eastern Conference Championship a year before, after playing them, you get to 100% see like, yo, this is how hard we need to play. This is how focused we need to be. This is how every possession matters. The reason why I consistently have to call this postseason play is because we know that this isn't regular season basketball going on. This is playoff basketball going on. Right? This is postseason basketball going on. This is a one and done tournament to get into the postseason. And that's what makes it so goddamn intriguing. Right? And maybe not so much one and done. A couple of teams that, like I said, some of these teams are playing twice or whatever for their spots. But it has that one game elimination feel. Which, the other part, it always makes me think, like, I know the NBA is always trying to find weird ways to try to to try to improve their league or cause more intrigue, like a lot of the other leagues are. And this play-in tournament is great. Like I said, it's like a wild card round in a weird ass way. And we know how the wild card round goes for all of the other leagues. Like I said, that's all really it is. It's just their wild card. But there's also talks of like a mid-season tournament. And I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes you feel like things can be a little too much. I feel like a mid-season tournament would be too much. I don't know what the benefits of a mid-season tournament is. Like, what are you doing there? Like I said, this postseason, like the postseason tournament works because it's the postseason tournament to get into the playoffs, and it's also a one and done kind of thing. Like, it has a ton of forced intrigue. Sorry, I was reading captions. Where's my second game at? I guess that game will start to 10:30. Yeah, I'm not sure like how it's gonna come about for a mid-season tournament, because then what of significance are you truly playing for? And that's what I'm gonna want to know more than anything else, right? Because if you're not playing for anything, or if you're trying to and that's the thing about it. Like, the NBA knows this, right? And honestly, what players are gonna want to play in a mid-season tournament? What mid-season tournament are you talking about? Are you talking about this during the week that you have the All-Star week? Because to be honest with you, like, I don't want you fabricating or making up an All-Star week, right, or a mid-season tournament just to try to get more games in or an extra set of eyes with actual NBA players, right, and just making them play some weird ass tournament and giving it some arbitrary reward. Like that doesn't intrigue me. But what does intrigue me is the G League championship game being played during the week of the All-Star game. Like, that would intrigue me if you want to do some weird-ass mid-season shit. Like, that would intrigue me more than anything, that during the time slots during the time that we normally watching the NBA, that, you know what, we switch it up and we watch the G League championship and we sprinkle in all of the other NBA skill tournaments. But trying to find some arbitrary way to put in some mid-season tournament, like, I'm not feeling that shit. Because right now, and honestly, I'm not feeling it because it makes no sense to me. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So maybe they'll do it and they'll make it make sense, and then I'll be all into it. You know I love me some basketball. Like I said, there's so many different little basketball things, right? Entities and ways that you can do it, but just trying to put in some arbitrary reward to get it done is because you want to find a way to do it. Now, I'll rather you put something on, because then what are we talking about? A week off? 2 weeks off? Like, how much time are we talking about here to get this mid-season tournament? Because how many games are you going to try to play? And we also know that players not going to want to play unless they will also get really financially compensated. So what are we going to talk about? Extra $5 million for every player? Like, that's going to also have to start being now collectively bargained. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't, like, so I think that if the NBA was trying to get some kind of tournament going on, that this play-in tournament is the perfect thing. They don't need to go ahead and try to force something in the middle of the season. And if you do, it needs to work directly in with All-Star break. Like I said, I wouldn't mind All-Star weekend being off for 2 weeks. since you're always trying to find ways to help players get more rest, I wouldn't mind it being 2 weeks off. And during that time, like, you give us everything the fuck else. Like, I want NBA TV flooded with G League games, G League championship games. You understand? Like they had the HBCU game going on. I want to see that shit too. Like, give me other basketball shit. Like, it doesn't need to be something that's tied into you know, like the NBA and further things for the season. No, you could just be taking a break and give that time slot and give your platform to these other entities. Because if you put it, like, I understand that you can't control what ESPN does, but you can control what NBA TV does. And if there's nothing else really going on, and that's part of it, that TNT isn't like, hey. But like I said, if you're helping them utilize your platform, but like, hey, you get this TNT slot, you know what I mean? You get 20% la 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 la. Or this money goes, you know what I mean? Like I said, it's the G League, so that's your shit anyway. Like, there's always creative ways around it. Like I said, I be giving y'all free knowledge here, man. I be giving you free shit. I'm gonna start charging you for this, right? The MyT consultant. Like so let's switch gears a little bit, right? Let's do a little about face. Actually, not even a full about face, right? Right. We're gonna turn to our military right one time. Right, and we're gonna look over our shoulders, and we're gonna see, we're gonna talk about a little WWE real quick, right? Because the official numbers have come in, right, from WrestleMania weekend, and it is funny to me how I keep bringing this up, right? And this actually became a thing, like I heard like on ESPN radio at one point in time. And that was, I forgot who said it, but they said that they would have been surprised if individuals were watching WrestleMania instead of what was on that night? Oh, Duke versus UNC. And I wasn't like, but you know what I mean. And because I was one of those individuals that I was watching WrestleMania, but I was also watching Duke and UNC. But if I had the choice of watching one or the other, I would have chosen WrestleMania over Duke and UNC. But that's just me. You know what I mean? I'm one of millions that would have chosen this. Maybe even billions. I remember we talked about this when that happened, because that day we talked about how wrestling had better ratings, how WrestleMania had better ratings, and they also had better. And they were also the number one thing trending that day during the game. And then all of their, obviously, social media engagement numbers end up being favorable to wrestling. Well, those same numbers, a lot of those same numbers now came out for WrestleMania. As I told you guys, like, it made sense to me that it would do better than Duke versus UNC, because this is literally the Super Bowl of wrestling. Like, this is your World Series of wrestling. Like, that's what WrestleMania is. Like, this just isn't some random tournament. This just isn't, as we just now got into the New Orleans versus Clippers game. We're a little bit late into this game, about 5 minutes left into it. And we're going to see if Kawhi Leonard is playing in this game. We know that he was a game-to-game decision, as Paul George end up not being able to play this game as he has COVID symptoms. or he was put into COVID protocols. And as we know, like the NBA really isn't testing for COVID like that anymore. So he had to be experiencing symptoms most likely for him to be, for them to have to put him in the protocol. But, we'll see what happens. But like I said, I'm gonna keep an eye out and try to see if I can. Like I said, right now, I can clearly tell that Kawhi Leonard isn't on the court. 1, 2, 3, 4, or maybe he is. I only see 4 people for them. No, okay, that's not him. I only saw 4 people get back on a play, and I was like, oh, maybe he is on the court. Because if I was Kawhi and I was playing, I'll definitely be using a lot of opportunities to take off. Now, listen, like it is weird, right? Because depending how far a lot of these teams get advance into the playoffs, right? We're talking about playoffs this year. There are a lot of individuals that we may see, and this is part of the injury updates that we have. We'll get ahead and we'll talk a little bit more about the injury updates as well as we keep an eye out for a couple of those individuals that we have on our list. We saw one of them already play, right? That I'm gonna talk about as far as these injuries are concerned. We saw one of them play earlier. Now we're going to see a look into the other ones, and we'll like I said, a couple, because we have a couple of them in this game specifically, and we'll see if we're able to notice them or to see if they're still out. But regardless of which one they are, we know for a fact that if any one of these teams advance, that the way they're talking about how they were just talking about them for this game, that is a very big possibility that if these teams go further, right, that we'll probably see them in the first round. As it looks like a lot of individuals are going to be coming back for that first round. And listen, I ain't gonna lie, this is nice. Like, in a weird way, this is nice, because even though this is in the playoffs, this is a nice little ramp up to the playoffs, but also, this also helps, like, while we're still getting basketball and very good competitive basketball going on, it gives everybody that's going to the playoffs a rest. And we know none of these playing teams are getting a rest, but guess what? That's what the playing is. That's what your thing is, not for not being one of the top 6 teams. But yeah, like it actually gives those guys a rest, and that rest time is allowing us to possibly get back other players that we thought that we were not going to possibly get back for the first round if this was played under the old rules. Ooh, Brandon Ingram's going to his left, fadeaway, 1 foot, nothing but net. Splash. So back to this WWE and Super Bowl thing, right? So the official numbers came out for for WrestleMania, and again, it didn't surprise me one bit that WrestleMania was gonna beat out Duke versus UNC, because it just wasn't. While that was big, it wasn't the biggest moment that the NCAA had for that tournament. Now, if it's some weird way that we were going to get Duke UNC, Coach K's last game, and it was for the national championship, maybe the numbers look maybe the numbers look a little bit better. Maybe they beat them in impressions and social media engagements and other things like that, right? Or maybe they become the #1 trending thing in the country at that time. But for just something that's just a Final Four game, wasn't big enough. And I knew that. That's why I wasn't surprised about it. Like I said, it's wrestling's Super Bowl. Now, when compared now to the Super Bowl, those numbers have now actually come in. So when I say that this is like it's Super Bowl, let me let you guys understand how it compares to the Super Bowl. I ain't gonna lie, I would like to be on that golf course. See Jimmy Butler, see Peyton Manning. Ooh, Serena Williams. It's a Michelob commercial. I ain't gonna lie, that shit making me want to drink Michelob now. Fuck. What time is it? Is it too late for me to go to the... So, let's just run through the numbers real quick and tell you how much wrestling was doing better than Super Bowl, right? When it came to impressions, the Super Bowl had 1.8 billion impressions. WrestleMania beat that with its 2.2 billion impressions. The Super Bowl had 618 million views, or video views, I should say. WrestleMania had 1.1 billion video views. The Super Bowl had 3.56 million hours of video watch time. WrestleMania had 13.1 million. That was 3.56 to 13.1 million hours of video watch time. And then when it came to engagements, the Super Bowl had 78 million engagements. And WrestleMania had 87 million engagements. So, yeah, comparing a Final Four game, while it is UNC Duke and Coach K's final game, is kind of big deal in the NCAA world. I want to see how that would have compared to the Super Bowl. And if the numbers aren't comparable, then that's why I wouldn't compare to WWE, because also you're also talking about something like I said, the NCAA tournament, which is really, for the most part, right, something that is being watched mainly in America, right? When it comes to WWE, it's being watched like the Super Bowl. It's being watched worldwide by everybody. But everybody. Ow. Okay. Okay, I'm done. Okay. Sorry, that shit just overtook me. I apologize. All right, but let's continue to march on a little bit more, right? As we're done with our engagement piece. Recently on the podcast, right, we started talking about possible head coaches for the New York Knicks, right? And I made a weird ass statement that Chill Will questioned me on, right? Chill Will, as you guys know, is my senior Cleveland correspondent, right? My senior Ohio correspondent. And when I said that if the Lakers can find a head coach, then it gives me hope that the Knicks can find one as well. And he was like, how? Why? And I had to explain to him, right, that it's really so much so about who they can find. Right? Because as of right now, there's not a lot of names that were popping into my head. Because there's not a lot of names that I thought that you can... I need to know who are the upgrades from Tom Thibodeau. And... yeah, that happened. Alright, who are the upgrades from Tom Thibodeau? And if the Lakers can find that upgrade or the better fit, as Chill will help me better explain, right, or better or put in better words, right, find that better fit, then that's what would help me with my Knicks, because right now I can't fathom who that better, who the better coach was. Right, we threw around names. I think a name like Juwan Howard popped in there and became somebody that we thought was of interest. So like I said, at that time I was like, I just didn't know who could be possibly the good fit, or because I wasn't quite sure of all the coaches out there. But I knew my key to figuring out who can possibly be one of the Knicks head coaches would be based off of who can possibly be a head coach for the Lakers. Because we know that that list was going to come very soon. And no doubt that list came open and available to me. Because very recently Vegas dropped the list of all of the individuals and who has the best odds of becoming the next Lakers head coach. And no doubt, as I'm looking at this list, there are a couple of names that we took into consideration for the Knicks job as well, but not just individuals that we took into consideration, guys that weren't even on our radar, and guys that we were doubting that should even be on a radar because of the current contract or how long they've been or the position that they're currently in with the current team that they have. So let's start running through a couple of these, right? And I'll give you probably the very first name, probably the name with the worst odds out there, or the biggest odds out there, I should say, right? And that is one LeBron James. Don't worry, Knicks fans, that is not one of the possibilities I could possibly think of as a coach for the Knicks. Also, neither is the second, who was Phil Jackson, right? So Phil Jackson and LeBron James and Coach K, right, all have the three biggest odds, right? Which means that they have, am I saying that right? They have the worst odds. The biggest payouts, there you go, of becoming the next coach of the Lakers. Right? Meaning that those are the three biggest long shots. And Knicks fans, trust me when I say, as a Knicks fan, I don't want either one of them either. And those would be my three. Like, what the fuck? I don't know about Coach K. I don't mind Coach K. But why would he do that now? Right. So let's run down a couple of these names. Right. The person with the lowest odds. Right. Best odds. Right. With the lowest payout, which means that this is probably the favorite to become the coach for. This is probably the individual is probably going to become the favorite to become the coach for the new for the Los Angeles Lakers. And no lie, I didn't think that this individual would be up for the coaching position, because my initial thought was, why would he give up his guaranteed spot, have somebody else fill it, just for him to lose his job in the next 3 to 5 years and have to try to come back to television. So the person with the lowest payout, right, with the highest probability of becoming the next Lakers head coach is one Mark Jackson, which completely surprised the shit out of me. Because again, he's a name that I constantly hear even coming up for the Knicks job, right? And when I think about him for the when I think about him for the Lakers job, then I thought about him for the Knicks job. Like I said, I just thought that why would he give up what is basically job security at this point in time? But if he's that much of a favorite to get that Lakers job, that means it may actually be a possibility. And we already saw that. LeBron James is very much behind the possibility of Mark Jackson, and he's excited about it. It looks like Mark Jackson would love to get. And listen, in a very weird way, even I kind of want Mark Jackson to get that job, because I want Carmelo Anthony to get a goddamn ring before he leaves the NBA. Like, that's all I want. Give Melo his goddamn fucking chip that you promised him. Some bullshit. Right, so they have Mark Jackson coming in at plus 200, right? After that, we have Nick Nurse, right, at plus 350 for the position as the next coach. And we also have David Fizdale and Doc Rivers. Again, Doc Rivers, a guy that I really wasn't sure about, but there you go. Here his name. Like I said, one of the top 5. I don't think LBJ getting another ring. Never say never. I don't think he's getting another ring as him as the man. But maybe he could get one with Mark Jack. I just want LeBron. I just want Carmelo Anthony to get a ring. So I can't say that. He has one more in him. Maybe next year, as him as the man. I feel you just saying listen, under normal circumstances, I would also say that I don't think that LeBron James is gonna get another ring. But he has Carmelo Anthony on his team. And as long as he has Carmelo Anthony on his team, that means I want Carmelo Anthony to get a ring wherever he's at, which means that LeBron James has to get another ring. That's the only way that Carmelo Anthony's gonna get a ring. Listen, he does need to leave. He needs to go to Memphis. That's what he needs to do. He needs to go to Memphis. Or go to Milwaukee. Like one of those teams that starts with an M, right, is going to be the place that he wins a championship at next. I don't know which team that starts with an M at, but one of those teams that name starts with an M is winning a championship this year. So go put $10 on all 3 of them. Making it to the NBA championship, or to the championship round in their respective conferences. He should have went to the Bucks last year. He should have. Phoenix would have let him down though. It would have just been heartbreaking Phoenix, and then they would have blamed him. After Chris Paul went down, they would have looked to him as the next OG, and that he couldn't take that team to the I really don't want that for Melo. I don't want any smoke coming Melo's name in his way. He's a good person. LeBron James is the villain of the story. Oh man, right. But let's continue to run through these coaches' names, because, like I said, I'm still interested by some of these names. What we got here? What we get? Facts. Right, we had David Fizdale and Doc Rivers. Like I said, I didn't anticipate Doc Rivers possibly leaving there because I thought that even if they failed this year, that Doc Rivers would probably still get another year, because you would want to give him one full year with those two before you determine if they're a good fit or not. So I don't see Doc Rivers losing his job this year, and maybe that's just why. But like I said, I don't see Mark Jackson leaving the booth. But here is Doc Rivers is one of the top 5 candidates of getting that Lakers job. The top 5 candidates of getting that Lakers job is Mark Jackson, Nick Nurse, David Fizdale, Doc Rivers, and Mike Brown, according to Vegas. We see Jawan, like I said, David Fizdale, like I said, plus 700, Doc Rivers plus 700, Mike Brown plus 750. We will see Jawan Howard's name pop up, as we talked about him last time on the podcast when we brought up this subject topic matter. As Jawan Howard, Quinn Snyder, and Sam Cassell. Sam Cassell is the other name that intrigues me as a Knicks fan. Let me let you know. Mark Jackson intrigues me. Nick Nurse intrigues me. David Fizdale intrigues me. Doc Rivers intrigues me. Mike Brown doesn't intrigue me, but he kind of intrigues me because I realize that people that used to coach LeBron James get a bad rap. But now we just need to talk about fit. David Fizdale really does intrigue me. I think I've seen enough of David Fizdale to not want him. Mark Jackson, Nick Nurse, Doc Rivers, yeah. I have to I'm not gonna lie to you. I still have question marks about. It's really weird. This late into his career, I still have questions about Doc Rivers' coaching, and his coaching style, and his developmental style. and his developmental capabilities. So Doc Rivers is a name that I always have question about. So really, we're talking about Mark Jackson and Nick Nurse. I don't know about David Fizdale, I don't know about Doc Rivers, and I don't know about Mike Brown. Juwan Howard, I can possibly see as a fit coming up. Like I said, Quinn Snyder, I could possibly see his odds of plus 1,000. Juwan Howard's odds of plus 1,000. But also Sam Cassell is a name that really intrigued me as well when I saw his name pop up here. His odds already at plus 1,000 for that Lakers job. Again, reason why I talk about, even though these are odds for the Lakers job, me as a Knicks fan, I'm looking at the possible coaches that are out there that can possibly replace Tom Thibodeau, right? Because Knicks fans are constantly and always calling for his job. They don't believe that he's the right guy to help develop these guys, even though these guys have developed great under him. Now, the real complaint is about how many minutes he gives his young guys and the rotations that he uses. But he's one of those guys that if he has a veteran, you really have to prove to him that you're going to outplay that veteran. And he gives that veteran the respect of playing time as well, and minutes, and starting time. He's a veterans coach in that sense. But when a young guy gets minutes, then you know for a fact that he earned those goddamn minutes. Like that is probably the one thing about Tom Thibodeau and his young guys, is that when they do play, you know that they didn't just play because management wanted to play this team. You know that they're not just playing a bunch of young guys because they're not trying to win games, like or because they're trying to do it. Nope. When Tom Thibodeau plays young guys, is because that youngster, that neophyte, he earned that shit. He earned every single fucking second of playing time that Tom Thibodeau gave him. You don't have to question if he earned it. You don't have to question if he deserves it. You don't have to question if he should get it or not. You know that motherfucker was earned hard. So I don't understand. So I personally understand when Knicks fans talk about his coaching, right, or his about his coaching, because I know that he develops youngsters. And I see that he develops youngsters as well. Now maybe he needs some better play calling. He is kind of stagnant there. So who's gonna be that? Who's gonna be a better fit? Somebody that can also now continue to develop these guys and put them on an upward trajectory, but also get a better flow of offense that really starts to utilize and get their talents to show. Because really, when you play with Tom Thibodeau, a lot of your offense is one-on-one. And if you can see it from the guys that he developed throughout the years, there's only been one-on-one players. Look, Derrick Rose, Luol Deng, Jimmy Butler, all one-on-one guys. Because when he identifies you as somebody that can score, or he thinks that he could use you as an advantage, he puts the ball in your hand and he kind of tells you to create. And you learn that way. Right? Like, that's how Jimmy Butler grinded out his, grinded out his playing time. And grinded his way to becoming the star that he is. And the crucial piece on any team. But not everybody is like that. But you gotta figure though, what happens if you can develop 3-4 individuals like that? Like, I know what we say about Julius Randle, right? But ultimately, Julius Randle can basically take his man off the beat, or can win one-on-one matchups. But now, imagine if you had a team though that anybody that you give the ball to, from the 1 to 2 to 3 or to 4, that they know how to. Not only can they, but they know how to beat their man off the dribble and score one-on-one. By either driving to the basket, step backs, whatever. Like, that is a key talent to have. That is a very beneficial talent to have at each position. But that just can't be your only offense. what that needs to be more of is, okay, when things have broken down, or when I see that mismatch, oh, let me get this to this person because I know that he can get this job done. That shouldn't be your play every play. We need a little bit more ball movement. We need a little bit more weaving. You know what I mean? Two-man weave. No. but we need a little bit more off-ball movement. I feel like you need to be a little bit more creative even with your basic offense. And that may be what he lacks. Like we've seen throughout history where offensive coaches can use defensive coaches to help with their defense, like Mike D'Antoni. And we also see in the past where defensive coaches like not Mike Brown. Who was the guy that used to coach the Knicks? Right? I think he had a similar name though. But you see defensive coaches like that could have used some offensive coaches. This may be one of those things again, where he could probably use a better offensive mind to kind of help unlock this offense a little bit more. And maybe that's what the guy that the Knicks just lost, Kenny, was. Maybe he was the guy that was really helping keep a lot of that glue together. Maybe he was the one to help do that, but he's not there anymore. But I wonder if Sam Cassell could possibly be that guy. With odds of plus 1,200, we see Kenny Atkins, Steve Clifford, Terry Stotts. We also see John Calipari pop up on this list with odds of plus 2,300. We see Stan Van Gundy pop up with odds of plus 3,000. Becky Hammond with odds of plus 5,000. Jay Wright also with odds of plus 5,000. And then we already read to you Coach K, Phil Jackson, and LeBron James. 8,000, 10,000, and 15,000. Like I said, and again, there's still names here. John Calipari, who knows? Don't see him leaving, but who knows? Becky Hammond. Like, she's somebody I would love to see coach the Knicks. And when I say like she's somebody I would love to see coach the Knicks, oh my goodness. She is somebody I would absolutely love to see coach the Knicks. Like, the moment she coached the Knicks, she needs to get her own honorary jersey so I can get one. Like, dead ass. But Knicks fans, there goes a nice little list for you to think about. When you say replace Tom Thibodeau, this is a real list of candidates in a weird way. Now there's still some names up here. Like if they don't leave this year to go coach the Lakers, I'm still gonna have some of these same questions again. Why would Mark Jackson leave his cushy position? Doc Rivers is gonna have to fail miserably next year. I mean, because I don't see him coming out this year. But after next year, I can possibly see this happening. I don't see Tom Thibodeau leaving this year. Possibly next year. Do they start pump faking on re-signing him? That's when the time is gonna start talking. But I feel like they're gonna give Tom Thibodeau his full 5 years. I guarantee you that I feel like they're gonna give him the full 5 year of his contract. And that's when and honestly, in his 4th year is when I feel like they should extend him for 6 years. And if you don't plan on doing that, then you need to find the next. Then you need to start identifying who this next guy is. And I don't know why, in a weird way, I want to try out Sam Cassell. I don't know. No, I don't know why. But even Sam Cassell intrigues me as a head coach. But some of the names, like I said, there's some names I would fight against. Juwan Howard. Don't know if he wants to leave his alma mater. But he would, even why I feel like he would be a good fit. Guys like Quinn Snyder and Kenny Atkins, like they feel like more, more of the generic fit. Nick Nurse, they feel like more of the regular generic fit that could possibly become the next Knicks head coach. And they may fit as well too. Stan Van Gundy, I don't know if anybody wants him anymore. I think he's officially worn out his welcome. But Becky Hammond, would love to see her as well. Even Jay Wright. There's a couple names. There's some serious names on here. Like I said, there's some names that, like I said, I don't think it's possible, but I would like to see. And there's some other names I really think is a little bit more highly possible. Mark Jackson, not possible. Nick Nurse, possible. You know what I mean? Doc Rivers, he's still kind of in the middle. Juwan Howard, not possible. Quinn Snyder, possible. Sam Cassell, possible. Kenny Atkins, possible. Becky Hammond, possible. So we'll see. We'll continue to see. Just like how we'll continue to see how these playing and playoff tournaments, right, continue to land, right? And as I said, that I needed to keep an update and watch out for a couple of plays. I still haven't been paying attention enough to see if these guys are playing, but I'm getting a little bit of idea of at least one of them that I think I've seen him already, right? Because as we know that injuries are really shaping up this postseason in a weird ass way. Because a lot of this is gonna start determining about who can make it, right, or who's gonna be able to make it, right? From their injuries. We saw earlier today. We seen Allen. I'm forgetting his first name. I'm about to call him Josh Allen. But we seen Allen from the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's come back after breaking his finger to try to give his team opportunity to continue playing in the postseason, right, and move into the playoffs. But unfortunately, those efforts weren't enough as they just couldn't hold off the Atlanta Hawks. But it's a bunch of other names that we heard of being now game time decisions as their teams are in now 1 game elimination games. Like I said, we saw Jared Allen. There we go. We saw Jared Allen already make that sacrifice, right? In this New Orleans and Clippers game, we heard a possibility of Zion Williamson making it out, coming to play for this game, as Zion Williamson is ready to come back. But it looks like that whatever the team doctor is saying, that they're not quite ready. But that's the reason why Zion Williamson is over here releasing videos of him doing 360 windmills, because he feels like he's back. So if New Orleans could continue to, if New Orleans makes it into the postseason, right, or into the playoffs, we can possibly see the return of Zion. And granted, in a weird ass way, while the play-in tournament didn't give us Zion Williamson the year that they wanted it to give us Zion Williamson, it was eventually the play-in tournament that gave us Zion Williamson in the playoffs. Like, it didn't happen the year we wanted to, but it may happen a year later or 2 years later. I don't know how many years it's been now. Right? It may happen, but it's happening eventually down the line, because we may get Zion Williamson based off his team winning this play-in game against the LA Clippers. Now, the other name I've been trying to look and see if they have is Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard is the name that has been switched from out to doubtful, right? Or game time decision, I should say. And granted, I haven't noticed Kawhi Leonard as of yet. He is one of those guys underneath those same rules, right? Or underneath that same narrative, that same headline. If his team makes it into the play-ins, right, or into the playoffs, just why I don't like saying that shit. But if his team continues to progress through the postseason, right, then it's possibly to see him in the first round, and not just in the tournament. You know what? I'm still calling it the pit, the play-in tournament. The pit, yes. You're in the bottom of the pit, and they trying to scrape their way up into the top. And what's at the top? The playoffs. Yeah, I like that. See that? We should coin it right now. How can I need to find a way to get that. You can get that thing. The pit. But because we're gonna start keeping stats of the pit as well too. Most points scored in a game in the pit, most wins in the pit, points per game in the pit. Yeah, it's gonna be called the pit pretty soon. Just know that you heard it here first. But so as teams get out the pit, right, and they make it into the playoffs, we're going to start seeing now other superstars possibly get a chance to return. Kawhi Leonard, Zion Williamson. Even for the Brooklyn Nets, we may get Ben Simmons back for the first round as well too. Now remember earlier, I talked about how this rest was doing wonders for all of these players. Well, some of these players, they've been gone for a while, right? And while if they came back for the pit, they generally wouldn't be getting as much rest. But if their team can get through the pit, that basically gives them about another week of rest. And that other week of rest, like I said, is not just beneficial to Kawhi Leonard, Zion Williamson, and possibly even Ben Simmons, but also to Stephen Curry, who has been out for some time as well too. And we know that he's going to play when the playoffs start. We know for a fact that he's going to play. So really when it comes to him, it's just about how much rest that can he get before he has to play. How much time of recovery can he get before he has to play? Because he is going to play. He's just hoping to get a little bit more time. So there are going to be some key injuries that we're going to keep track of, right? And see how they continue to play out, because these injuries may change the shape of the playoffs, or how we feel about certain teams winning or winning their playoff series. Because now, right? Now when I look at it, right, and I'm looking at the playoffs, and I'm looking at the standings. When it comes to Brooklyn and Boston, even though while I feel that Brooklyn is a favorite there, I don't put them as a big favorite over Boston. You had Ben Simmons, and I feel like this is real. That is pretty much a wrap. Let's just put it that way. That's as simple as I can put it. When it comes to Phoenix and the Clippers, right? Or whether it's Phoenix and New Orleans, having Kawhi Leonard makes a difference. Having Zion Williamson makes a difference. Now is a big enough difference to possibly make them lose? No. But Kawhi Leonard back? That's one of those guys that you never know. And if you're telling me that you get a guy that can literally frustrate Devin Booker and turn him fully light skinned, and we know that is when he starts complaining about every single play and takes him out of this game, then yeah. Then that will be enough. And honestly, we're just talking about enough just to get Paul George back, who isn't hurt. He's just in COVID protocol. So let's hope that it's one of those COVIDs. Oh, hopefully it's one of the newer COVIDs where he's only sick for 72 hours. 96 hours. Something like that. By that time, we're talking about having him back by the key games in the first round. If we're already talking about games 5 and 6. Then who knows what happens then. So we'll continue to watch. Like I said, not just... Let me see. Have I noticed Kawhi Leonard yet? I think I've paid attention to this game enough to notice that there is no Kawhi Leonard. But like I said, both of these teams are fighting to advance. Right now, as we look at this game, it is New Orleans 52, Clippers 41. We have about 2 minutes left to go in the half. And when we come back on Monday and we get into the podcast, then I can see I'm a little behind. I was looking on the internet. It's 56-41. New Orleans. Damn. Right. So when we come back on Monday, Like, we'll end up talking about the second half of this game, and we'll also should have also the first couple of games of the first round of the playoffs as well. What else is coming up? Oh, yo, next week Wednesday, you can hear us. We're gonna be live at Sharky's. Guys, make sure that you come out and catch that live. Now, I have been working something out. Your Pelicans should take this game, and then we may get to see Zion Williamson. But the Clippers aren't gonna go away silently. But they can't be missing layups as well. Like, they can't be doing that at all. Let's see, a couple things I wanted to get out. Lakers, they're finished paying Luol Deng. His name came up earlier today. Let's make sure we got everybody know that they're officially done paying Luol Deng. I think I mentioned that Derek Carr, he signed a new contract, 3 years, $221.5 million. Right? I don't know any other significance into anything else more than that. LaMelo Ball, recently he got caught smoking a blunt before the game that they lost. Like, come on, LaMelo, like, you should just come to the Knicks, like, for real. But also, don't remember to catch us next Wednesday, or this Wednesday coming up at Sharky's, and to catch us there, folks. We know it's gonna be 420, basically, which is my New Year's. So it's gonna be a very special day. We're gonna have some great little gifts for you guys as rewards for trivia. I've been working out something with Sharky's, that way we can get out there a little bit more privately to ourselves. We're gonna have music going on before the production, so you guys can get into the mood as well. You guys will also be able to start hearing the callers and everybody else that's interacting with the podcast as well. We're working on all of that. We're gonna have a tent. We're gonna have set up the whole entire ambiance. I may even put up something else underneath the bar as well. Folks, thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys stay safe, like Toby and Wigway says. I hope you continue to catch a wave that never subsides. Me personally, I like to say, continue to be the person that you will want to work for you. That's all I can say. Be the kind of person that you would want to hire to work for you. But I think I'm done rambling here. Hey, yo, DJ MyT, do me a favor. Play my outro. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Sorry, B.
We gonna lose this podbean feed pretty soon. Like, if you can hear me right now, still Ronnie, I'm surprised. It normally cuts out like 207.
All the bandwidth in the world couldn't keep me contained. No lag, no lag. Gonna share my talents with Podbean Live. Always knew I'd take the pod there. Just a lot later than a lot of listeners thought. Last of the real gabbers. Well, maybe not the last. Munchkin got good mic skills. New, improved MyT podcaster. Potting down now. Last call for drinks. Bars closing. Sun's out. Heard the casino got a buffet breakfast. Don't want to go far. Wild night. Tired, B. Tired. MyT!